Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back. We are dealing with the month of Iyar, the month of Taurus, the month of the bull. Okay, so the month of Iyar, whose sign is Taurus, was formed by the means of the letter Vav. That Vav symbolizes truth. Its essential attribute is thought, the organ in the symbolic cosmic body, and corresponds to the right kidney. The tribe is Yisachar, which toils in study of Torah, and that is its tribe. Now, the kidney is always, in Hebrew, kidney is kloyot, is how you say kidneys in Hebrew, right? And they say that kloyot are yotzot, that your ability to give wisdom, right, comes from your kidneys. Now, so what does that mean exactly? It's a strange kind of thing. You think that everything that you think about, the mind, the thoughts, the brain power, everything happens in the mind. That's not true. We know that's not true anymore. We know that you have something called muscle memory. And I'm not talking about the muscle memory when you go to the gym and you do the same action over and over again. Muscle memory means that there are certain memories that are actually stored in different parts of your body, like some of your organs and muscles, right? We know today that your gut is an amazing storage highway of memories. It's not just in your memory. But there's something about, from a Kabbalistic perspective, I don't know if there's any evidence for this, about your ability to give advice. Somehow, its ability to give that advice emanates from your kidneys. Now, it could be a spiritual thing or a physical thing. For sure, it's spiritual, because that's what we're saying. But it's from a physical place. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line we find some kind of link between a person's ability to give advice and their kidneys, and the nature of their kidneys. Okay, so that is all tied into this month of Iyar. The right kidney specifically, not the left kidney, with their klayot, the right kidney is on the right side of the body. The right side of the body always represents the part of us that is attached to kindness, chesed, versus the left side of the body, which is more justice. It's interesting, by the way, that our hearts are on the left side of our body and on the right side of the body. The truth is, it's more off to the center than it is to the left side, but still it's the left hemisphere, not the right hemisphere, and therefore it falls into the world of justice. Because the heart needs to be wrangled in. Right? Our emotions are all over the place. And therefore God created a body which is emblematic of its nature. Okay? Everything is in the right place, the right time. And therefore the right side, the right heart, the left heart, is in a place that's meant to allow us to think about how we're supposed to create boundaries for the emotions. Okay? You'll never see the Torah using the word mind or brain. It talks about the heart. Kol chachmei lev, all men who have wise hearts, is what the Torah speaks about. It talks about wisdom. Why is a chacham lev? What's the heart have to do with wisdom? And there is something correlated with the heart's ability to discern. Wisdom is the power of asking questions. It's the power, the motivation maybe to think. And somehow that starts with the heart and not in the mind. It's just, again, a reassessing of, now, our personality, our automatic habits are all baked into the brain, no question about it. But as far as other organs in the body, they possess different strengths. And it's all connected to wisdom and thought and action and so on and so forth. So the month of Iyar, the month of Taurus, the month of the bull, is connected to our ability to process information, to give advice, and the tribe Yisachar. Yisachar was the learning class people. These are the people that dedicated their whole entire lives to becoming a mamlechet kohanim, a nation of priests. Not servicing in the temple, but a priest's job is also to educate, the educating class. Now, what is Jewish education at its core? Jewish education at its core is in teaching people to become critical thinkers. In the morning at 7:15, I give a Gemara class to a bunch of young guys. If you've ever, maybe at one time we'll do a Wednesday Gemara series about not learning through all the Gemara, but giving you a taste of what Talmudic learning is and showing you why men learn this stuff. And at the core, what you'll find is fascinating. First of all, it's all conversations. I'm reading through the conversations of people that lived 2,000 years ago. And in the conversation, my job as the reader is to try to understand the conversation and follow along as if I was there, right? And I'm basically recreating the same exact conversations that people had 2,000 years ago on these topics, Torah topics. And what the Gemara is doing is leading me through the conversation so I understand what their thinking was like. And really, it's not written like a book because the story draws out the conclusions. The Gemara does not. The Gemara wants you to deduce the conclusions from the text itself the same way you're following through the logic. It wants you to do the same over there. Now, that process of thinking is more feminine than it is masculine. Right? Which is kind of cool, right? Because the feminine women are natural, they converse naturally, which is why, by the way, the Chachamim say women do not have an obligation to learn Gemara. The reason why men learn the Gemara is to help them tap into a feminine aspect of their mind. Women naturally have it. They don't need to go through that process. Unless you're a woman with a masculine mind, and therefore you might benefit from having a feature in your learning that allows you to feminize it. Okay? Grounding. Yeah. Yeah.
This rabbi said this rabbi said this,
Yeah.
this rabbi said this, and this rabbi said this. And then in the end, there's no conclusion.
So sometimes no conclusion is the conclusion. Think about that for a minute. We spoke about Rabbi Dessler today. If you heard my Dessler class in the morning, Rabbi Dessler spoke about how that sometimes when we have a situation where we're stuck, right? So there's several ways of responding to it. One way of responding is, oh, God is punishing me. I hate him. Right? I'm stuck. Why am I in this situation? Another way is saying, I just don't know why I'm in the situation. A higher level is saying that, you know what? It must be that there's a limitation to my ability to understand. I hope that God gives me the ability to understand more. Right? So I'm not worthy of understanding right now. And I like to think that sometimes when we don't understand, God's saying, move on. You're not meant to understand this. We're not meant to understand everything. I don't have all the answers. It's okay to live with questions. It's okay to live life where we go through life. I encourage, question everything as much as you possibly can, but at the same time, always make room to move on and carry things in faith that the answers will come at the right time. I've carried questions for years, and 4 or 5 years later, the answer comes, and it's so awesome. It's awesome because I was committed to something. I'm committing to the process of learning and committing to things falling into place when they're meant to fall into place. I wasn't meant to have that answer 5 years ago. It would not have made sense to me. The time that I received the answer is the right time for me to have the answer. Everything comes at the right time. Okay? It's predicated on the belief that you believe that God loves you so deeply that He wants to give you everything, but everything at the right time. And sometimes not knowing means move on, not now, maybe later. Maybe later. All right, Pri Tzaddik says as follows. He says, through one's dedication to truth, one achieves deliverance from evil thoughts. Each day of this month participates in the mitzvah of counting the Omer. In the spiritual work involved in the counting of the Omer, a time of preparation receiving Torah of Shavuot, the 50th day of the Omer. The central motif of this ritual is renewal to one's dedication to truthfulness and the purification of one's thoughts. This theme is mentioned in the prayer we say on the counting of the Omer, that we may be cleansed from the husk that obscure our essence and be purified from our uncleanliness. This month's organ is the right kidney. The Talmud explaining that the expression of the kidneys advise states the kidneys are the source of spontaneous thoughts. The right kidney is said to advise constructive thought. The left, evil thoughts. The source of the thought lies in the secret recesses of one's personality. This secret domain is the portion inherited in the tribe of Issachar, which has the knowledge and understanding of the times. This tribe's main concern was to apply knowledge of the times to reconcile the lunar and the solar calendars to establish the beginning of each lunar month. Note, the 11-day difference between the lunar and the solar years necessitates the adding of an extra month of the lunar year every few years so that the lunar months retain their correspondence to the seasons. And so that Passover, which occurs during the month of Nisan, also called the month of spring, would indeed always occur at the beginning of the spring. And that's why we have that alignment of the solar and the lunar months together. But again, the idea that thoughts need to be restricted is something we don't really understand. How many of you create boundaries for your own thoughts? Now, meaning stop, don't go there, don't think that. Now, I'm not saying and I'm not suggesting that we should not question. Question away. The quality of your life is an expression of the quality of the questions you're going to ask. Question everything. But sometimes some thoughts are destructive, and you have to make the distinction between constructive thoughts and destructive thoughts. And therefore you have to sometimes pull the brain back. The limud haTorah, Torah study, is about learning to control your thoughts. It's about refining your character traits. If you have a predisposition to having a wild imagination, and it often takes you down the wrong place, and you make poor decisions because of it, that is someone who is lacking in the ability to control their thoughts. How many young people I know today that often are in a dating situation, and they destroy their relationships because of thoughts, not because of anything real. They never learned to go ahead and to control their thoughts or to direct their thoughts. They allow their thoughts and their emotions to envelop them. B'nai Yissaschar, number 3, so the ability to use secret knowledge to determine the times when the holidays and the festivals would occur require great and holy intuition. So the knowledge is, I'm turning the page, applied correctly. This aptitude was developed by the people of Yissaschar as a result of their God-fearing nature and consciousness. In consonance with the verse in Psalms, the secrets of God are imparted to those who fear Him. The service of God through fear and awe is prescribed from the month of Iyar, or awe, the same letters as Iyar. This is because the development of the fear of heaven is a prerequisite to receiving the Torah. Reshit Chochmah Yirat Hashem. The beginning of all wisdom is the fear of God. Why is that true? Why does the beginning of knowledge require this element of awe in God? And if you think about it, I would argue that all wisdom only begins when you have something called humility. If there's no humility, you can't learn. I can't teach you anything. But Reshit Yirat Hashem, Reshit Chochmah Yirat Hashem, the beginning of all wisdom is knowing that I don't know. There's an infinite being that knows infinitely more than I do, and therefore I'm opening myself up to learning something new. Somebody's always above me who knows more than me, and I can never know everything. It's the humility of allowing myself to learn something more from somebody else. The attribute of fear is related to the attribute of power. This is indicated by the equality of the numerical value of the two words, Gevurah and Yirah. Power is the most outstanding attribute of the bull, the sign of the month. As a matter of fact, if you look back at ancient writings, the symbol for the Aleph, the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, was the bull's head. Think of it like the horns, and then the face. You take that and you put it on its side, that's the Aleph, right? And the Aleph represents power. As a matter of fact, the Lamed in Hebrew was like a lightning bolt, and that was a symbol of a staff. What does the staff do? The staff is used to lead. So what's the word kel, Aleph Lamed? The power that leads, right? So you see how the language has this deeper root to it that is still very much appreciated today in modern language, modern Hebrew. Power is the most outstanding attribute of the bull. Okay. The sign of the bull is placed after the sign of the lamb, Aries, which symbolize love and kindness. The quality is expressed in the nature of Nisan. Upon achieving one's completeness in the realm of love and kindness, one balances the giving attribute of power, awe, and restraint. Restraint is the right word over there. That was what I was looking for before. What are we using to restrain our thoughts? In this way, one attains a wholeness of consciousness that enables one to both love and fear God, so that he has a firm foundation for keeping the Torah and its commandments. Many traditional Jewish works on astrology regard the period of the Iyar as being especially auspicious for healing. This encoded in the word Iyar, whose letters form the acronym Aleph, Ani, Yod, Hashem, Resh, Rofecha. I am Hashem, your healer. The word Iyar is also the same numerical value as the word Aruch, which means a remedy. So you have this power of transformation, not only spiritual transformation, but also physical transformation baked into the month of Iyar. The primary cause of illness are due to either the eating of improper foods or improper digestion and assimilation. During the month of Iyar, the 15th day of the full moon, the Jewish people who wandered the desert with Moshe began eating the manna, the food of the angels, which contained no waste and is totally assimilated by the body. This month received the positive healing influence within it. The The miraculous traveling of the well of Miriam also appeared for the Jewish people in the desert during the month of Iyar. Since thought and deep reflection are most important for the development of one's spiritual path, these spiritual drives were nourished by the eating of the manna, which brought lucidity to the mind, and drinking from the well of Miriam purified the heart, so that it was attuned to the light of truth. As Iyar marked the commencement of the appearance of the manna and the well, it became a time in the course of the history of the Jews of new beginnings. The first census taking of the Jewish people in the desert began in the first of Iyar. King Solomon began building the Holy Temple in the first of Iyar. When it was the Jews returned from Babylon, the Babylonian exile, they began work on the construction of the second Holy Temple in the first of Iyar. All new beginnings. The idea that food can transform the nature of the physical self is something that's important to kind of double tap on. Your diet has an impact on your soul. 100%. Ready? I've seen over the last 10 years, there's been a disproportionate amount of vegans that are becoming more observant. Why? Because the Gemara says when someone eats non-kosher food, the non-kosher food blocks their heart. I'm not talking about like cardiac blockages. I'm talking about spiritual blockages. But when you're eating a kosher diet unintentionally, you're more open to receiving spirituality, right? So he's saying over here that because in the desert he had all these new modes of digestion, manna and water from the well, it totally cleared up their body so they could actually receive all this awesome spirituality. Are we creating, do we see our bodies as a temple for receiving spirituality? How you eat your food matters. Are you rushing through it? Are you patient? Are you making the blessing? Are you mindful about it? It impacts your ability to receive spirituality. And the month that this is a powerful month of thought and restraint and renewal is important because we know that it is also the month where the students of Rabbi Akiva died. Why did they die? 24,000 students died within 33 days. Why did they die? We know the Gemara says they died because they had a lack of respect for one another, lack of love for one another. How does someone get to a place of that kind of hate? You know where it comes from? It comes from not restraining your emotions. If these two ridiculously dumb, I would say, nurses in Australia had any kind of intelligence, they would have never allowed their emotional response to that guy who did nothing wrong. He was the sweetest guy. If you watch the video, he's like, I don't want to fight, I just want to talk, let's talk about peace. And like, no, I'm going to kill you and send you to Gehenom and whatever it is. Like, I killed Israelis here before, don't come to our hospital. Who says that? You know who says that? A para Adam says that. That's the word that the Torah uses to describe Ishmael and his descendants. These are people that are wild people. Wild, it should say Adam who's wild. It says he's wild at a man. His nature is that he's emotional first. He has a hard time restraining his emotional self. This month is the opposite of that. Yisachar, to be someone who is a trained Talmudic thinker, means that he's trained to allow his logic, his defined mind, to allow him to draw to conclusions and that steers his emotions, not the other way around. A Jewish doctor went ahead and healed Sinwar, took out a tumor. I don't know if I could do that. But a Jewish doctor could say, you know what? I have a Hippocratic oath that I've sworn, and it doesn't matter what your background is, I'm going to heal you. Which psycho says I'm going to kill Jews in my hospital? And they came like, no, it was a joke. It's not a joke. Not a joke.
I just remember something, Rabbi. I have nutrition teachers before, and they said that your gut is your second brain.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Your gut is your second brain. The Zohar says as follows. He says the power of the realm, and therefore what you put in your bio gut, impacts your ability to think. The power of the realm of the mysterious teaches its climax on the 33rd day of the Omer. On the 18th, in the number referred to as Chai, life of Iyar, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai passed on to the next world. Just as prior to this passing, the gathering of his greatest students around his deathbed revealed to them the deepest secrets of creation. The power of the mystery and its understanding, and it's revealed to the tribe of Yisachar, is related to the letter Vav. The letter formed in the month of Iyar. The Vav symbolizes the divine attribute of Yesod, foundation. The Yod is Yesod, symbolized by wisdom, which contains all the attributes of potential. The Sod denotes the secret of its unfolding. The place of this mystery is the attribute of Iyar, of thought. That's the power of this month. Revealing those things that are hidden. The beginning of all revelation happens in this month. The beginning of, look at number 7, the beginning of the revelation of the oral Torah occurred during the month of Iyar. When those who were unable to bring the paschal sacrifice during Nisan, through no fault of their own, appealed to Moses for the second chance, this was granted them on the 14th day of Iyar. The second Passover, Pesach Sheni, resulted from the verbal interaction between the people dedicated to the service of God, and thus became the source of the development of the oral tradition. The rectification of thought, that is, the focal point of our introspective service to God during the month of Iyar, follows directly upon the spiritual work engaged in during Nisan, the development of awareness and control in the realm of the speech. After purifying the most direct expression of the heart, the act of speech, when enabled to refine the self, a more subtle plan of thought, and through purifying them both, speech and thought, to becoming a fitting vessel for the main event in the month that follows, Sivan, Gemini, the receiving of the Torah. So you have a rectification process of refining the mind so that you can be open enough to receive the Torah in the month afterwards. The planet Venus imparts as its influence beauty and gracefulness. These energies are engaged in the divine service for this month. The refining of the Vav, the letter of the month, which contains 6 attributes: grace, power, beauty, victory, everlastingness, glory, unbiased acceptance, and the foundation which proceeded from the heart. It is this harmonization of these 6 attributes that is ultimate purpose of the counting of the Omer. To aid this endeavor, it has become customary during the period of the study of the tractate Ethics of the Fathers, Pirkei Avot, which contains 6 chapters. The letter Vav of the divine name, Yod He Vav He, is associated with the 6 attributes that arise from the union of thought and understanding. The word Chabad, Chokhmah, Bina, and Da'at. Right? What is Chokhmah? Koachma, the power of asking questions. What is Bina? Bina is Lahavin Davar Mitoch Davar, to understand something from something, understanding the context and drawing out that wisdom from the context. What is Da'at? Da'at is the application of the knowledge. It's the fusion of different elements of the mind so that you have the synthesis that allows you to bring wisdom into the world. It's not just one faculty, it's them all working in unison. Isaiah says, Yad shor kaneh v'chamor avus ba'alav. An ox knows its owner, a mule its master, a master's crib. Yisrael lo yada ami v'lo hitbonen. Israel does not know my people, takes no thought. Shem Shmur. What does this mean? He said the sign of the bull symbolizes the power of judgment. The bull symbolizes the perspective of discriminatory knowledge, is also indicated by the Hebrew synonym for the word bull. Bakar, which is etymologically related to the Hebrew word bikur, discernment and investigation. The word shor is also related to the word shur, grazing. Herein lies the connection between understanding, judgment, and power. Very cool idea. I have like 12 more minutes. The element of Taurus is earth. What is earth? Earth is the most slow, lazy parts of our nature. Arriving, as it does, after the element of fire, it instructs us further as to the nature of the spiritual work required for us during the Iyar, self-collection and focus, so that our tendencies become objectively tangible to us, just as the earth is tangible to us, as it can be manipulated by us. This is available to us through after we have received the energy of fire and Nisan, which imparts grace and power. The culmination of the service of Iyar, the month of Ziv, brightness, occurs during the month of Sivan. The words are prophetically related to each other, for they possess the Yod, Vav in common. Sivan, Ziv, and both Samach of Sivan and the Zayin of Ziv share their beginning letters to form the combination of the tongue and the teeth. The Nun of Sivan, do you understand what that means? Share in their beginning letters formed by the combination of tongue and teeth. Ziv, right? Zayin, Samach are letters that are at the forefront of our mouths. The Nun of Sivan contains a numerical value of 50, symbolizing the power of purity. Thus, The power of brightness of Iyar comes to its fullness during the month of Sivan and on the festival of Shavuot, which occurs 50 days after Passover. Between Passover, which occurs during Nisan, and Shavuot, which occurred during Sivan, is the month of Iyar, which functions as the link between the two. This is also symbolized by the letter Vav, which in Hebrew has the morphological quality of linking. The Vav, always, by the way, the Vav is always a hook, and it links one idea to the other idea. The letter Vav, which has the form of a straight line, shorter than the Nun, has a numerical value of 6, symbolizes the neck, which contains 6 linked bones. There are 6 vertebrae in your neck. Astrology tells us that the neck is the part of the body corresponding to the sign of Taurus. Okay, we'll do the Vilna Gaon, and then we're going to go to the end. The symbolic energy of Iyar, thought, became manifest in the negative form in the realm of desire during this month. When the Jews of the desert complained to Moses about not having meat to eat, the retribution of heaven visited upon them proceeded from the attribute of judgment, operated during Iyar. Through its sign, the bull, during this month in the Sinai desert, the Jewish people manifested a strong desire for comfort and relaxation. These desires emanated from earth, the element of the month, which is the least energetical, vibrant of the elements. The rebellion of the Jews also reflected the stubbornness and the rebellious nature of the bull. It's very hard to break a bull, they're very stubborn and so on and so forth. I want to skip a little bit. Let's just go to the end. Now, actually, there's a Zohar here. Should I do that? 1 second. Let's do number 15. That's Reb Tzadok. He says as follows. He says, the main form that the service to the divine takes during Cheshvan is the perfection of fear of God and acceptance of the yoke of heaven, coming as it does after the month of Tishrei, which is a full of festivals, culminating in the festival of Simchat Torah. The month of Cheshvan is set aside for the integration of the sacred joy one experiences during Tishrei, as Nisan with its festival Passover corresponds to Tishrei 6 months later. Iyar corresponds to the Cheshvan, which may therefore expect to find many examples of correspondences. So now people make a mistake in thinking that the longest holiday of the year is either Sukkot or Pesach. It's not true. The longest holiday of the year is from Nisan until Sivan. What is that holiday called? It's a 50-day long holiday. Holiday is called Omer. It's the longest Jewish holiday. 50 days. We don't celebrate it today because we don't have a temple. But if we were living during the time of the temple, it's one long holiday for 50 days straight. And what are we celebrating there? The evolution or the development of man from its lower parts to its higher parts. And since the month of Iyar, Bol, is in the middle of it, the reason why people often get stuck at these months, not only because it is an agricultural time where it gets beautiful out and people want to just chill, right? It's the most beautiful time to be in Israel, stunning, perfect weather. But there's a spiritual component there as well. The stubbornness of the person to want to do what they're meant to be doing. I'd much rather do my own thing than spend time and investing in the things I ought to be spending my time with. That is the month of Iyar. Okay, so let's go to the end. The last 2 pages. Okay, it says, it's after number 19. It should say 20, but it doesn't. Taurus overview and personality. We'll do this and we'll call it a day. Okay, main traits of a Taurus, which is an earth element. The dates are April 20th to May 20th. Most Tauruses are patient, they're reliable, they're warm-hearted, they're loving, they're persistent, determined, they have a tremendous amount of, give this sense of security, and they're very loving. The challenges for Taurus is that they're jealous and possessive, they're resentful and inflexible. They are self-indulgent and materialistic. Tauruses like to wear fancy watches and drive nice cars. Tauruses, however, like stability and security, nature and outdoors, comfort and pleasure. Tauruses dislike change and surprise, being rushed or pushed, noisy or chaotic environments. Because they're an earth sign, Taurus shares stubbornness with Capricorn and Virgo. But Taurus is the most stubborn of all 3. It's the biggest animal. Capricorn is persistent, which is another form of stubbornness. Virgo is more flexible and analytical. Taurus, however, does not budge. Once their mind is made up, you can never change them. They are slow to anger, but if they do get angry, they are dangerous, like the bull charging. Unlike Aries, who gets angry quickly and then calms down. Taurus stores anger for years and might never forgive his betrayal. Okay, the work ethic of a Taurus. Very hardworking and patient, prefers stable and secure jobs over risky ventures, not good at fast-paced decision-making. They need time to process things. Slow down. They're Earth. Excellent with money. Many become bankers, accountants, or real estate investors. They're not good salespeople. They have a hard time. They're too honest and practical to be manipulative. They don't have the patience for that kind of stuff. Just say it as it is. Loyalty and devoted friends. Okay, they prefer a few close friends over large groups. Not very talkative, only speaks when necessary. They're usually quiet, enjoys nature. Many are gardeners or farmers. Okay, Taurus men. Okay, if you're married to a Taurus, here we go. They are protective and reliable partners. They remember birthdays and anniversaries. They're faithful and devoted, but not very romantic like Aries or Leo. Sorry, ladies. They do not tolerate loud, controlling women. They prefer traditional roles. They're slow to apologize, but expect apologies from others. Taurus women are generally gentle and pleasant, very practical, value security over excitement, not easily manipulated or fooled, more emotionally stable than other signs, expect complete devotion, can be possessive if betrayed. Best matches are Capricorn, Virgo, Pisces, Cancer, and that's for Taurus. They're most suitable with Capricorn, Virgo, Pisces, and Cancer, and they're least compatible with the Leo, Aquarius, and Gemini. Taurus as a parent, loving but strict, set high expectations for children, dislike disobedience or laziness, overprotective at times, may limit children's independence. The Taurus, if you have a Taurus boss, okay, they're generally patient and fear, will not yell unnecessarily. They prefer safe and proven methods over new ideas. They're very risk averse, can be very slow to make changes, will not tolerate dishonesty, test employees for integrity. Okay, so let's talk about these 5 traits for a minute. The different character traits and refinement. You have humility and anivut. Taurus can be humbled, but sometimes too rigid. Savlanut. One of the Taurus's greatest virtues is being savlan. Mechila. Tauruses struggle with letting go of the past and betrayal. They suffer there. Generosity, nedivut. They're generous but hate wastefulness. They have hasmada, very persistent, but they are very committed to their goals. Perkei Avos says, "Hu ezu gibor, hakovesh et yitzro." The strong man is one who controls inclinations. That is the avodah of the Taurus. Taurus must work on being more flexible and open to change, learning to forgive and let go of past grievances, avoiding materialism and focusing on deeper spiritual values. Some last ideas for Taurus. A Taurus does not forget a betrayal, unlike Aries, who forgives easily. Taurus will hold on to resentment for years. They are loyal, dependable, and excellent life partners, but only if they feel secure in their relationship. So when they're lashing out, it's because of lack of security. Their biggest challenge is learning to be more flexible and not take life too seriously, just have fun. The takeaway of Taurus is as follows. Taurus is a sign of stability, patience, and loyalty. When they learn to adapt to change and let go of their past hurts, they become one of the strongest, most dependable individuals. That, my friends, is the sign of Taurus. We're supposed to learn these traits, even if you're not a Taurus. There are awesome things that each one of the months are there to teach us. How do we bring these ideas into our own world? It's through the refining of the self. Remember, if something is not, managed, no, how do I say it again? If it is not, what? Control. Yeah, no, it's not, the word I wasn't looking for was controlled. If something, the only way you can, I'm totally blanking on if something is not, the only way to manage your traits is through spending time by charting, right? You have to have a visual goal of where you're going. If there's no way of defining, your own spiritual growth, you can't grow. And therefore, every month has a particular energy that is attached to it. And my job is to pull its energy out. Like, for example, tonight is Tu B'Shvat, right? So what is Tu B'Shvat? Tu B'Shvat is the renewal of the trees, right? Tu B'Shvat is the idea that in the same way that, the trees have seasons, people have seasons. There's a rebooting of the self that happens now. You want to be able to tap into, the power of Pesach, which is in 60 days, right? Then you have to start the process right now. There's a process that happens. So we're going to go through the rest of the months and try to, extrapolate the unique nature of those months so that we can refine ourselves to becoming the best version of ourselves. And I believe this is how we bring Mashiach. The world makes no sense to me. It's a terrifying place, right? None of it makes sense. Trump and his announcements and this and that, and it's happening so fast in the world and the world stage, and the amount of hatred is so disgusting today. I feel bad for my children. I dealt with anti-Semitism as a kid. Not like this. Not publicly, not on internet, not on Twitter, not so much of it nonstop. It's going to become a complicated decade. But I also know that the complications, the challenges of time create a space for us to become even better. Lean into the challenges of the world that we're in by refining the selves, and you and I will be responsible for bringing the light of Mashiach into this world. Be'ezrat Hashem, sooner than later. Amen. Have an amazing week. Be'ezrat Hashem, we'll continue the conversation next week. Sorry for ending a little bit early today. Any questions?